Hi, welcome back to the Gapster channel. My name is Gabby, and taking some time from my audio channel, I'm going to talk to you about my e-bike, the Mokwheel Asphalt. But most importantly, I'm going to talk to you about over 15 tips on what I've learned, what to look for, and what to avoid when you're getting your e-bike. Let's start with the battery. The battery is the most important part of an e-bike. It's actually considered to be 1/3 of the cost of the e-bike. So it's important to have a battery that's of a decent size that will last you for the trips you are planning to do. Also, you want the cells of the battery to be made by a reputable company, something like Panasonic, LG, or Samsung. Another thing is you want the battery to be a seamless part of the body, not something that's extruding or attached to it, because that will give rigidity to the frame. It's nice to have a battery that you can actually lock into the frame. It will avoid some of the easy theft. In this case, the Mokwheel has a battery that is 14.7 amp hours and it's 48 volts, so roughly around 700 watt hours. And that's a very decent sized battery for a commuter bike.
Another thing you'd like to avoid is buying a bike that doesn't come with all the accessories you're going to need, like the bike rack, the fender, and the bike stand. These things can be quite expensive, and it'll save you the trouble from going to the store, spending a bunch of extra money, and having to figure out if it's going to fit your bike properly.
Assist sensors. You want to get something like a torque sensor, especially if you're trying to get a bike where you want to get some exercise. There are torque sensors, and there's also something called cadence sensor. And in this case, the bike only senses whether you're pedaling or not, versus torque sensor, it senses how much pressure you're actually pedaling and it adjusts the assist based on that. So that makes you feel like you're actually really pedaling like a normal bike and you're not just moving your feet. Now, if you are handicapped or you have some problems, you have knee issues, you have hip issues, and you cannot pedal and do all that, then you might want to think about cadence sensor. But there is a remedy. If you do have a torque sensor and you do have some issues with the knee or hip or whatever, it's important to have a throttle on your bike. The throttle will help you move your bike without actually having to pedal. Say you're riding your bike, something happens to your knee, you have a problem, your hip goes out of whack, and you can basically get yourself out of trouble by just pushing the throttle, and that's going to move your bike and get you going to where you want to get going. This Mokwheel bike has both a torque sensor and a thumb throttle.
Another thing you'll want to look into when buying your bike is the motor, and you want to find a motor that's going to fit your needs. So if you have a motor that's too small, it might be underpowered. If you have a motor that's too big, then it might make your bike really heavy. 500 seems to be the sweet spot. 250 is a little bit small. 350 is a little bit better. There are some bikes that are around 750. Those are typically performance bikes or mountain bikes.
Speeds and gear system. It's important to have multiple speeds. Do not buy a bike that have a single speed with no gear system whatsoever. You will be very, very disappointed because your bike may not be able to be driven once the battery is exhausted. You'll feel like you have a deadbeat of a weight and you cannot move your bike at all. We have friends that actually bought bikes with single speed. They did not pay attention. One day they were driving, the battery ran out and they could not move that bike. They had to call a friend to bring a truck and take their bikes. This Mokwheel bike has a 7-gear speed system and has a nice Shimano derailleur.
Another thing you want to look for is integrated lights. These are really nice because they're built into the system, so when you brake, they come on, and it's just nice. They don't get smashed and lost or stolen.
Look for a bike that has front wheel suspension. It will make your ride comfortable and more exciting. Let's talk about the Mokwheel Asphalt as a great example on what to look for in a mid-priced bike. Then take it for a ride and give you some more tips on what to look for and what to avoid. The Mokwheel Asphalt is on sale for $15.99 with free shipping. Comes in different colors, also available on the Canadian site for $20.99 with free shipping. The battery fits seamlessly in the frame. It's 14.7 amp hours at 48 volts, makes it around 700 watt hours. You can also lock it. It has a 500 watt motor and 180 millimeter hydraulic disc brakes front and rear. It has a beautiful finish and weighs just 60 pounds. It comes equipped with front and rear fenders, a nice rack, a comfortable seat, and also a kickstand. It comes with front wheel suspension that you can adjust the level of it and also lock it. It has a 27.5 inch by 2.4 inch tires geared for commuting and light trails. It is equipped with a dual beam LED light that is very strong, and the backlights are integrated into the frame and can easily be seen from the side and the back, and they are responsive to braking, just like a car. It has aluminum pedals, a 7-speed Shimano derailleur with a 44T crankset. The LED display is nice and clear and it's got all the information that you need. The throttle comes in very handy when you need it, and it comes with a bonus buzzer. If you're interested in purchasing a Mokwheel bike, please use the affiliate link in the description below and help the channel. Alright, so how does this bike feel? First thing I wanted to do is put it to level 0 assist, so like you have no assist whatsoever, and feel how the bike behaves. The first thing I notice is the bike feels really light. It feels like I'm driving my normal non-electric bike, and it just behaves normally, and which is a really great feature, because if something happens and you have a long way to go, your battery dies, you know that you can actually ride your bike. Some bikes you cannot do that. So next I'm going to put it on level 1 assist, and I'm going to start paddling, and as you notice, it's just a smooth gradual assist happening. You don't have that sudden jerkiness. It feels just like you're getting the assist, but it's not like boo, like some bikes is like you get that jerkiness part. So that's really nice, and that's attributed to the torque assist system. With the torque assist, the more you pedal, the more you feel like your bike is going, and the more your assist you're getting. You don't have this stop and go kind of motion. And so now I'm gonna head on a slightly uphill. It starts a little slight, then gets a little really hilly. So first thing I'm gonna demonstrate how fast this bike can go. This throttle only, nothing at all. So we're just gonna push on the throttle and see how it goes. So we're at already quickly jumped to 20 miles per hour. Just gonna slow down a bit. This is a level 2 bike, so it is capped at 20 miles per hour, which is like 30 kilometers roughly. Now, if you do want to go faster, let's say your laws where you are allow you to be able to go faster, then you can actually override it. I'm getting quite hilly here, so I'm gonna switch it to level 2. I start to feel a little relief, and the assist again gradually kicked in. Again, no sudden movement or anything, and that torque assist, again, I cannot emphasize more. It's really nice. So we're gonna put it on level 3 assist. This can go up to level 5. I rarely go past 2 actually, but I'm just gonna try 3 here just for fun. So we're just gonna try to take over here. So if you are pedaling, you can go past the 20 miles per hour mark. That's because you are using your own effort. Braking is nice. That was really nice and gradual stop. And you can, if you want to stop like quickly, you can push it harder. It will stop even faster. Perfect. Nice. Very nice. Brakes really fast. Those hydraulic brakes are really, really nice. So now we're gonna go downhill, and we're just gonna see how fast we go. When you go downhill, there is no limit cap because you're actually, the motor is not working. It's up to you to go fast. That's still legal. So we're just gonna let it roll here on its own. No throttle, no nothing. There's a bump here. You can feel that front suspension really helping. There we go. I'm at almost 20 miles, yeah, 30 miles per hour almost. That's really good. So as you saw, we got to 30 miles per hour, but that really doesn't mean much. You're just going downhill really. But still, just trying to tell you that you can go past the 20 if you're going downhill, that the limitation doesn't actually apply. That was the moral of that story. Now, don't let the name asphalt make you think that it's only made for asphalt. It is, I mean, designed for commuting mainly, but you can also take it on light trails, anything that's not super, mountain bike or anything like that, and that's fine. You don't have to worry about it. It really goes really well on light trails. Now, if you are interested into a mountain bike or something that's for active sports and really you want to really go on some rough terrain or sandy beaches or anything like that, Mokwheel has another bike called the Basalt, which is a really, really nice bike, and you might want to consider getting that one instead. But for light trails and small things, this bike drives really nice. You don't have to worry too much. So we're just gonna get off this trail here. I'm gonna go back to more a paved road again. But as you saw, it really handled really well, so there was really no issues whatsoever. So any jerky motor rush or anything like that, it was smooth, and it just picked up gradually and took me over. And this is really nice, and that's a good attribution to the torque assist feature on this bike, which is really nice because the more you pedal, the more you feel like your bike is going. Now, this is there are some cases where you might want to have something like a cadence sensor. The cadence sensor, on the other hand, is a sensor that it just detects whether you're paddling. It would be good for someone who doesn't want to do a lot of exercising, or maybe possibly has some sort of injury, or can't really pedal too much, and wants a bike that will actually goes with less effort. And for that, the cadence sensor will be a good choice. But if you're into getting some exercise and you want to feel like you're actually riding your bike nicely, a torque sensor would be the way to go. There's a possibility that you have a torque sensor bike like this, and say you're going on a long trip, something happens, let's say your knee starts acting up and you just can't pedal anymore, you get an injury, or your hip, something happens to it, or whatever the reason is, you want to make sure your bike has a throttle. So throttle, basically, you don't need to pedal, you just push on the throttle and the bike just takes you. And this is a very handy feature because it lets you get to your destination with your injury and without having to do any pedaling whatsoever. Or you might feel just plain lazy and you just feel tired, or whatever it is, you just want to use it like a cruising bike, so you just push on the throttle and the bike will basically take you. So it's good to have both. A torque sensor is nice, but torque sensor complemented with a throttle together make a really nice combination. So overall, I'm actually quite happy with this bike, and it's really growing on me. Basically, if I were to summarize some of the greatest feature, again, I would say the torque assist, all the finishing, and the nice actually LED display. I keep forgetting to say that's really nice and visible and very clear actually, even in some bright sunshine situation. And that's really being good. The front suspension is really cool. Even have a little buzzer here. The throttle comes in handy. The derailleur is the 7-speed system is really nice. So all in all, these are all great feature. I've got a few more tips here towards the end of this video. If this is your first e-bike, don't get the most expensive bike on the block. You might not end up using it. It might just sit in the garage and collect dust. Also, don't get the cheapest bike because it might not have the features or the accessories that you need, and end up buying other things just to make it work, and sometimes be frustrated that it didn't end up working. Get something in the middle, usually works well, and look at some of the features we talked about and make sure your bike does have those kind of features. Second, if you are buying also a bike, don't buy a bike that is old stock. A bike that's been sitting in a warehouse for a couple of years. Sometimes they're on super sales and they're trying to push them out and get rid of them. Some of these bikes are really old technology, and you might find that some of the features are not that great. Also, batteries that have been sitting in a warehouse for a couple of years unused may have some degradation just for not being used.
Another important thing to remember is to always make sure you have your tool pouch with you. So your wrenches, pliers, tire patch kit, all that good stuff, just because you never know what could happen on your journey.
If you get injured, you might want to get some really basic supplies, like Band-Aids, some wraps and things like that, just in case something happens. You have some of the essentials to get you by so you can carry on your trip or go to the nearest facility.
If you don't know much about bikes, or you're new to cycling, maybe you're not very handy, or you don't feel comfortable assembling it yourself, I think it's a really good idea to bring it into a bike shop and either get them to help you assemble it, but just bring it in for regular maintenance, and that'll make sure that your bike is safe to ride, and it'll help you learn a lot more about your bike as well.
You may also want to invest in a bike rack if your bike does not have a bike rack, because this way you can go further, far away places and attach things to your rack, and it'll make your drive more pleasant. Also, on a lot of bikes you might want to put, for example, a basket on the front. Some people like to do that. Just make sure if you're getting a front basket that it's going to fit on your bike, especially if you have a front suspension bike. Most standard, what they call, accessories will not fit because there's some movement here and the basket usually attached on the bottom wheel. But in some brands like the Mokwheel here, they have provisions for a basket. This one, for example, will have 4 screws here on the Mokwheel Asphalt, and you just have to get the basket from them and you just attach it to the frame. And when the suspension is working, it actually goes with it. So it's really easy, rather than trying to muck around with some accessories that will not end up fitting on your bike. Another thing you might want to consider is the weight of the bike. You can get some very light bikes or some very heavy bikes. Especially you'll find that fat tire bikes, for example, are way heavier than commuter bikes. And you have to decide which one is best for you. Also, the weight may be determined by, let's say, do you live in an apartment building? Do you have to carry your bike upstairs? Do you have to lift it on your truck? and things like that. Bikes could get potentially very heavy, and if you're not up to the task, you may find that it's really hard and exhausting, or you might end up breaking your back just lifting your bike. Commuter bikes, like I said, like this one is this is around 60 pounds, and it's fairly light. For an electric bike, that's good, and I don't have the best back. So make sure you consider that fact before you purchase your bike.
Another thing you're going to want to decide when choosing your bike is whether or not you want a hub drive or a mid drive. This will also impact the price of your bike. Typically, more expensive bikes or performance bikes will have a mid drive, and the hub drive is a bit more common.
If you bought this bike and you want to see how to assemble it, there is a portion of this video towards the end where I talk about the assembly parts. You might want to check it out. But I hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. We hope to see you again in another video. Take care. Got some help here. It's a big box. And here's the inside of the box. We're gonna cut the box so it will be a little easier to open. So it's all nicely tidied up. Oh, it comes with a nice rack here. Actually, pretty much there's not a lot of assembly required. Most of the stuff is already assembled, so we just have to put the front tire and the handlebar, and we should be probably on our way. Okay, you don't need to be here. Okay, you move away. Out, 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 out. Out, out, out. We're gonna start taking all the padding off. Oh, this is a really nice bike.
This is a really nice bike.
Yeah, look at the nice finish. That should get the front tire. And we've got a box here of some accessories. So the accessory box has some nice wrenches, and there's the pedals, and lots of keys, little pump.
Oh, nice.
This is the charger. So let's put this thing together and get riding. First thing you want to do is align the handlebar stem with the frame, and then you can tighten the screw. Next, remove the 4 screws on the stem and put them in a safe place, and then we're going to adjust the height of the handlebar. So to adjust the height of the handlebar, once you're kind of happy with it, there's a screw on the bottom here, and you can tighten, and that actually locks it into place.
Next, we're going to put the handlebar on.
And we've got the bracket we had earlier, so we're going to throw that in. We still have the screws. Hopefully we haven't lost them.
It looks like you can also adjust the angle.
First, put 2 in diagonal. You don't need to tighten them too much. Start by putting 2 a little bit loose, and then you put the other 2. And that's all right, so it's tight enough. You don't have to over tighten it because you might have to do some fine tuning after. You can always tighten it some more. And we got the display here. And there's a couple of screws, so first you need to unscrew those. And then once you're that in, you're gonna put those screws back on. Try not to tighten them too much because you still don't know exactly where you want to put the display, so you can still move it around. Now we're gonna put a little bit off the way because we're gonna flip the bike upside down, so you don't want the display to be holding all the weight.
Next, we're gonna put the wheel on, so we're gonna flip the bike upside down.
In order to avoid too much weight on the display, we're just going to slide a couple things here, one on each side, just so keep a little less pressure on the thing and it's a bit more stable. Little bar here, we're going to take that out. And remember, they gave us some nice, use those. That's
the wrenches.
Yeah, so let's use that.
Nice.
I'm going to use that. Yeah, that's good. I'm going to put those in the box, we don't lose them.
We're going to put the wheel on.
So the little tricky part here with the disc brake, so I'm just going to zoom in and let you have a close look at this. Right here, there's a little, this is where the disc brakes are, and there's a plastic protecting part. So you want to pull that part out. So the disc brake is going to come and hold right inside that thing. And then you can tighten those. Okay. Gonna do my side here. Okay. Here we go. So we've got the wheel. So you might notice that when you turn the wheel, it's rubbing on the disc brake. If that's the case, there are two screws here, and this is a good time to align your disc brakes to be in the middle. So once you unscrew those, that will give you a little bit of wiggle room so you can move the disc brake assembly. And once you're happy with the position of it, then you can tighten them. And here we go. Now it's looking good, so it's not scratching anymore.
Okay, we're gonna put the pedals on. So this is left, so I've got the left pedal here, and you just screw it in. It's pretty easy, and it's actually a reverse thread. Awesome. And then we'll do the other side. There's actually an arrow that shows which way to turn it, just because you might forget because it is not what you're used to. So we'll tighten that one.
While your bike is upside down, this is a good time to align the tires really perfectly, because you can actually stand and have a good look at it. And then you can go all the way down and adjust also the handlebar. So the handlebar is also perfectly at the right angle. So once you have everything in perfect adjustment, then you can go in and you can actually tighten. Next thing, once we're done with all this, we're going to actually flip the bike around. This is when you could use some extra hands. All right.
Woohoo!
Oh, you got some nice, nice stand. That's pretty good. Next thing, we're gonna put the front fender on. So what you wanna do is just slide it underneath here. You wanna unscrew the screw that's already here, and then you also wanna grab your front light. So what happens is you got the front light goes on first, then this goes on top. And then you have the screw, so we're going to put that thing in here. You can start by hand first, and then you can tighten it a little bit. Once you're a little bit tight, now you're going to raise the fender as much as you can, just to avoid it rubbing on vibrations and stuff like that. So, there we go. Now raise it up. Once it's fully raised, we're going to tighten the screw. Next, what you want to do is you want to install those two fender holders. For that, you need another. You gotta take this screw out first. We can put, oops, we lost the nut. Try not to lose that. So we're gonna put the fender in here. So you put the nut back in the back, and now you can tighten that. Now you're going to do the same thing for the other side. Not want to bore you with that. You can adjust the light angle so the way you want it. And once you're happy with that, also don't forget to reconnect the electrical connection for the light. There's a little notch and you need to align them together. There you go. And now that the bike is in place, we're going to adjust the screen so it's in proper position or reasonably. You can have it a little bit semi-tight, so you can always slightly adjust it if you feel like it on the road, and make sure it's because sometimes depending how the sun could hit it, you want to make sure you get the best view of it. And next thing you want to do is adjust the rack here, and so we're gonna take the screw here from the behind the seat of the fender. If the seat is in your way, you can either take it all out or just pull it up for a second. And so we're going to take this screw off, and we're going to bring the rack down and put the same screw. It's going to go back. We're just going to tighten that. There you go. And that's pretty solid.
Okay, now we're gonna plug the bike. So here's the charger, and it just plugs in right here. And you can actually see it lights up, and it'll tell you how much charge it has.
Don't forget to pump your tires and check your pressure.
Okay, so now all you have left to do is adjust the seat.
Make sure that your handlebars, your tire are in properly good alignment. Check, make sure there's no loose screws everywhere, and you should be all good to go. Next thing, we're going to power it on. Press like 3 seconds, and you let go, and it says hello. There we go, and you're ready to go.
Wow.
There you go. Assembly done.